Well, welcome to AdSquawk, your weekly deep dive into all things advertising. Grab a drink, pull up a chair, let's talk shop. As always, I'm Sean.
Hello, I am Jody.
I'm Eddie.
Hi, I'm Danielle.
We always do these introductions starting with Sean and moving clockwise in case anyone wants to imagine what we look like in the studio.
Theater of the mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're very handsome.
I've always
and
found that an
beautiful in your
interesting
case.
thing that play-by-play guys do when they say, moving down the field from your radio dial left to right on your radio dial. Which really, if you think about it, all that tells you is which side of the stadium the broadcaster is sitting on. Whether he's sitting, if he's sitting on one side, then they're moving left to right on your radio dial. If he's sitting on the other side of the stadium, it'd be right to left. But you got to know a shit ton about how that stadium, like, why would you care?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So are they always on the hard cam side?
They should be.
Usually.
Yeah.
Usually they're always
they're always
on
in
the
the booth.
home.
Right, yeah.
They're on the home side. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Sports talk.
So I guess it matters if you were listening to the radio and then you're going to leave your radio and go to television. You could be really confused. Oh shit! I thought they were going the other direction this whole time.
Have you ever done that where you watch the game but listen to the radio broadcast?
Used to do that all the time for my alma mater because our radio broadcaster was so much better than the television broadcaster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then as the radio broadcaster got older, you realize that he was about 5 seconds behind the play. Or he'd be like, touchdown! Oh, no, he actually dropped it. So it's like, oh, man.
Way to get my hopes up.
Right.
All right. We don't have a ton to talk about today, but there's something that happened this week
There
that
are things.
I think that we'll spend some time unpacking.
Wait, hold on a second. Did
Okay.
you have some sad news you needed to
Oh,
do?
you needed.
I needed a little
five.
time
Sorry,
at the top of the show here. So first, I want to apologize to our audience. Last week, I promised to bring thoughts on good ads that
did
had
promise to do
high
that.
production value and a lot of money was spent on that.
Are so
Nevertheless,
shitty.
sucked. I am not going to cover that topic today because of a couple reasons. One, our agency that we all actually work for is doing a big pitch tomorrow
Shit's nuts.
in another town
There's a lot
that we
going
have to
on.
fly to and whatnot. And so that's kind of taken precedence over research for the show. But secondly, some things have happened just today that we have a great topic for our primary show and it is very well timed with some things that I saw today. But I want to start this with, I want to read an email from one of our listeners that I received today.
Oh,
What?
Oh.
Yes. As I'm trying to remember
They sent
my
it to
new
your purse?
iPhone.
straight to the source.
Oh, yeah, you got a new phone.
Straight to my
Oh.
personal email,
Hey.
which
And
is
a new
interesting.
Fancy.
So
I wanna see this one.
shout out to my friend Brian who wrote me this. He said,
Brian.
I finally started listening to and recently got caught up on the AdSquawk podcast that you guys started and wanted to say congratulations and well done. You guys have done a great job with it so far, and it's nice to have that peek inside the walls of, and he actually wrote this is not me editing, agency name redacted, and your minds.
Well played. Yep.
So inside the walls of agency name redacted and your minds, although the latter is a scary place. Conversations like those are one of the several things I miss about the agency world. So being able to listen in on a regular basis is a nice way to feel connected to the business and the industry. But I do have some bad news.
Oh, boy.
Womp womp.
And there's no other way to break this to you than by ripping the bandage off as quickly as possible. Much like the Tooth Fairy or the Easter Bunny, at least Cloud Beard isn't really who you think it is.
Whoa.
I am sorry to be the one to break it
is
to
sad.
you, but you're old enough to know the truth. So go ahead and take a moment if you need to. Now that you've digested that hard truth, I know we've talked about it in the past, but let's get together soon and catch up.
Oh.
So two of those statements were links. So he sent me to
He hyperlinked
information.
and then edited the hyperlink.
Yes, he hyperlinked it for me and sent me to the source. And it turns out not only was I under a false assumption, but I have been since approximately 2012.
Damn.
Wow.
So
You got
not
fake
only
news
do I
for
not
7
only
years?
do I feel I'm embarrassed by my lack of knowledge of the Au Courant, as I often saying is the trade in which we deal. It's been a kind of a running joke at the office that I have dad jokes, and now I feel particularly dad-like, dad-esque, for having thought this whole time that it was actually Lee Clow. Now, having said that,
Is it a verified account?
what I've
That's interesting.
what I found out, it's a copywriter in Texas. He's been doing it since like 2009. He and Lee Clow have become friends, and then they wrote a book together, and they did a bunch of shit because he has so captured the voice. So part of me is sad for being a dumb shit this whole time, or being a dad, so to speak. I feel like I kind of like didn't do my homework.
You got geeked out.
I was so excited when Lee Clow would respond to my comments.
One might say that you got hustled.
But this guy,
bamboozled,
hoodwinked.
Led astray.
This is sad a little.
So, yeah, a nice Malcolm X reference.
That was a jaw.
Malcolm X?
Oh, a Ja Rule?
Yeah,
That's what he said about Firefest.
Yeah.
I
I too was hustled, bamboozled,
But
hoodwinked.
he was
you use that a lot.
quoting it from
I too.
he was quoting it from Malcolm X movie starring Denzel Washington. Look it up. I bet you
Except
anything.
Malcolm X's beard.
So now I feel stupid too. But anyway, because I was Ja Rule. Hey, we should drink every time we mention Ja Rule too, I think.
Oh.
Well, get ready for another drink.
We're gonna keep adding.
I
We're gonna
didn't
keep
bring
adding
anything
these.
to make myself a second.
We need to have his speech like written down.
So there are two emotions that I have. One is a little bit of embarrassment and sadness that it's not Lee Clow. But the second is actually, I'm very proud of our industry, and it gives me hope to know that somebody can so well capture that voice. So it actually, the wisdom is still great advice, right? And it's coming from somebody who is not Lee Clow, who is quite a bit younger than Lee Clow, but is just writing in Lee Clow's voice, and the content is still like seriously good content. Once everyone that's listening, all 100 of you that are listening, and the 50 of you that go to the internet to look this guy up, do yourself a favor and go to his biography, which is a timeline. He started something like 15 years ago, and it starts with his birth, and it takes literally forever. It's these cultural references of kind of what is happening in his life, and it includes some cultural reference. And it is long as shit. It takes forever to get through. In fact, I went through like the first third of it, and then I just started scrolling. When you get to the bottom, it says, "Congratulations for wasting an afternoon. Code your time to client number 38-14-146." Which is just, the Easter egg at the end. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I apologize to any of our followers for misleading them that it was perhaps the actual Lee Clow, or B, being an idiot and completely ruining any credibility I might have.
I love the fact that
Top
they're
tier.
now friends and wrote a book together.
That's the best part.
That
Happy ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the
That's
book
awesome.
actually came out quite some time ago, so that makes me feel even bigger stupid.
Bigger stupid.
I had a second dad
like that.
moment, and then we'll get into the show.
Yeah.
My second dad moment that I just had today was that I have a theory that for some reason we feel more, and I want you young people to tell me if this is true. We feel more obligated to respond to an email than we do to a text. So here's what happens. I think when I send an email and I say something that doesn't necessarily require a response, people will still send a response, thanks, or thanks, got it, or whatever.
Yep.
But when you do the same on a text, it doesn't necessarily require a response. People will be in the moment because they're looking at text sometimes, not at a desk, not at a keyboard, not in a place where it's a good time to text back. So you look at it and your mind kind of tells you, okay, well, that's good, but I don't necessarily need to follow up on that, even though the polite thing to do would still be to say,
got it, thanks.
Yep, or thanks, or appreciate it, right? So,
Or a quick react.
or is this just, or a quick react? Yeah. Or is this just a dad thing too?
So my initial response to that is I get far more emails that I don't respond to. Looking at the
but
total volume of
from
emails.
who?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Looking
I
at
think
total volume of emails versus relevant emails.
Yeah, I'm not
But when
talking
I get
about like automated marketing.
Right, yeah.
that
But when I
literally
get
requires no
when I get a
response.
text, I feel at some point I have to acknowledge that. Because then it's like, why the fuck didn't you text me back?
But also at a certain point in a text conversation, you can't just keep going back and forth. Thanks, got it. Thanks, got it. When does the loop
No,
end?
So
But if
here,
it's
let me just read this
If it's
quick
like
text exchange.
someone texts you something and there's no correspondence otherwise, I feel like it's
I feel
rude
like I
to-
should respond.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have a person who had asked if they could use me. They left me a voicemail and asked me if they could
What
use
year
me
is it?
as a reference. Well, they left a voicemail on my cell phone. I mean, they called me on my cell phone. I didn't answer, and they left a voicemail. So, I texted them. Are you guys making fun of me?
No,
behind my
I mean,
back?
I texted him just to see if he would respond, and
Oh,
he did.
he did.
With a word, not
Right.
even an emoji.
So
It's a GIF.
I got his voicemail, and rather than call him back, I just said, "Hey, got your message. Would be happy to be a reference."
That's a good thing.
And so that was where we left it. And then when I didn't hear back from him, I was like,
This person should
I
have
wonder
responded
I wonder
in
if
this
he got it.
situation.
And so I said,
that's more formal.
I said, "Hey there, just wanted to make sure you got my text." And he said, "Thanks. Sorry, I forgot to respond. I really appreciate it." I said, "No worries, just being a dad."
No
And then he
worries, just
gave
not
me-
giving you a reference anymore.
And then he gave me the
Scratch
cry
that first
cry
text.
emoji. Someone's got to do it. I tend to I can't blame him because I sometimes forget to respond to text too because of the
You're
situation
doing
in
him a
which I'm.
favor in this situation.
Well, no, I know etiquette wise.
etiquette wise, he should have responded.
But
I understand you. So
I
yes,
hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't listen.
I tried not to
podcast 'cause I feel
officially
bad,
read
but-
a text message, like formally read a text message outside of the preview, if I'm not able to respond
Yeah,
immediately.
sometimes I'll just read
Because
it
it
in the
leaves
preview.
that red
Yeah, 'cause I-
notification
and
badge.
then,
What
and
should
then
it
it
say?
stays there.
Yeah.
How many do you have on your red?
0.
I have 14.
Text that you haven't read.
Yeah, no, I've seen them.
I also have
I know-
0 unread emails.
I only have 26,347.
I have a panic attack every time I see Jody's badge of like, oh god,
But that
she's
probably-
voicemails like
That includes like
How?
your Google account,
How?
though, right?
Yeah, that's
with a
mostly
shit
Google.
ton of junk. in
How?
it.
yeah, how?
Because I see what I need to see, and then I'm like, moving on.
But how do
Well,
you?
I just don't even open Google that often because it's
Yeah.
nothing but where I send my
Yeah, I
free
guess that's
offer
My
bullshit.
Yeah.
that's why
stuff.
That's why you have
Netflix,
multiple email addresses.
Amazon.com, Groupon, Sweetwater,
Yeah.
LinkedIn, Costco.
Every 2
So
to
if
3
my-
months, I go through and I unsubscribe from every list that I don't want to receive.
Maybe I should
in my
hire
Gmail.
you.
Of my unread emails,
Yeah, $50 an hour. I will happily go through your email.
It might take you a while.
That's
rate.
why I said $50 an hour.
26,000 emails later.
Yep.
I would
That's a
totally,
discount for you.
I would totally take you up on that if you didn't work for me. I have like 1,100 unread emails, but 819 of those are in Gmail, which is just
Yeah.
my dump account.
You have 300 words.
So I have 324, but I bet you of that 324, 319 of them are automated marketing that I just never
And the rest
got
are
around
spam
to deleting.
quarantine.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
just thinking
spam
that.
quarantine or touch of modern.
So our boy Brian also tweeted at us.
What?
So
Oh, really?
Yeah, he sent us a Ja Rule article.
Oh, nice.
Dude, he's
Ja
on it.
Rule still thinks Fire Festival was a good idea. It's the gift
Yeah.
that keeps on giving. So
Yeah.
thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. We retweeted it.
Thanks,
So
Brian.
that's where I said I think
he-
we're the ones getting hustled, scam,
Yeah.
bamboozled,
Yeah.
hoodwinked.
That is
Got it.
poetic.
It is poetic.
Will somebody while he's introducing the show, will you look up Malcolm X,
The Denzel movie.
the Denzel
Quote?
that quote? I want to know if Ja Rule
If Ja Rule
was.
is making that allusion, I will is alluding to that. I'd be very impressed.
Shocked?
Yeah,
It sounds almost
Hoodwinked?
word for word
Yeah.
to me
I haven't seen that
from a
movie-
Malcolm
that
X
movie.
speech. Which obviously
And I
in the
haven't
movie,
studied in a
I
long
mean,
time.
you know, the movie's just quoting Malcolm X, or maybe they
You'd
took
hope.
creative license. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Not from Malcolm in the Middle, just FYI.
No.
That's a different thing.
No Frankie Muniz.
I can talk about how I had a tick on me the other morning. Did you know
Hold
that?
on, we
Terrifying.
haven't even introduced the show yet.
Yeah, we have.
Maybe we should do that.
I mean, we'd have.
No, we're good.
No, he hasn't gone through like the whole thing. Remember, because I interrupted.
No, it's
Oh.
good.
Go for it.
It's good.
Oh, I was
Pull
just
up a
hear about your
chair.
oh,
Pull up a chair.
Pull
What are
up
we
a
talking
chair.
about today?
Let's hear about your tick.
I had a tick on me. Did you know?
Carolyn
told you?
Carolyn told me that.
I was freaking out. Did you know? Did I tell you?
No.
I can't believe that it actually had latched
It
on
had-
you.
Yeah, I think so. It was like right here. Oh, we're watching a
ahead.
video.
Go ahead.
Well,
I'm
that's.
listening.
It's distracting. I'm also listening.
You've been took. You've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok.
So he was quoting that.
Denzel.
Do you think he really was, or do you think it was just like
A happy accident.
No, I think
know
that
what?
that's
I think it was,
something.
like, in
I think
his
that's
head.
something that people of his age probably watched that movie, and it was something they used a lot as a
Yeah.
Of his
that?
age? Who, wait.
Ja
Jaws.
Rule's age,
How old is Ja Rule?
Probably your age.
Yeah.
right?
So.
And Malcolm
Old as
X, the
shit.
movie with Denzel
Yeah, that came
Washington,
out.
came out like 10 years ago. So you would have been in your early 20s.
he's 43?
Ja Rule
He
is?
is my
Yeah.
age.
Yeah. So he would have
I'm
been in
older.
his like mid 20s when Malcolm X the movie came out,
We just
which
talked
is a
about-
perfect time to like.
People always also search for DMX, who is 48 years old. What's gonna happen?
DMX is 48?
What's gonna happen when DMX hits the other side of 50?
Wow. I love
Wow.
DMX.
Is he still gonna be like?
You know what? Awesomeness knows no age.
It's true.
My son's initials
Almost
are
that.
DXM.
Yeah. Almost that.
We once did a
yeah.
client's jingle as a remix and called it the DXM remix.
That's nice.
All right, get into it. So Apple this week at a conference, like they do, where
Like
they
they do
talk
every
about-
year.
like they do every year, and they roll out their newest line of
They
products.
don't even call. What do they call it? It's not a conference. It's some.
No,
it's a fancy
Keynote?
Apple word.
Isn't it called a keynote something? Don't they call it that every
the Apple
year?
keynote.
Experience. It's the Apple experience. Something pretentious and awesome.
They're just
It
selling
always
things.
happens kind of. So E3 is happening here soon too. So this is kind of the time of year for a bunch of tech and stuff to roll out. Anyway,
Don't you think they should do this conference actually on March 14th every year?
Pie
Pie
I
Day.
think, yeah. Wouldn't that be?
That'd be awesome.
then just have
If
Apple
you're
pies
Apple, yeah.
for
Apple
everybody.
Pie Day.
Yeah.
Apple Pie Day.
See, this is why Apple should hire us.
Yes.
So they
Probably
had
don't
their
listen to everything else we're about to say right now.
yeah. Well, we're not
Or
the
you
only ones
could.
talking about it. So
Yeah, you could listen and learn.
So I first actually saw this on a Reddit thread, which was getting a lot of traction. So they had their event. They announced all their new products, and one of the products that they announced was a $999 monitor stand. It's okay. So it's just a monitor stand. It costs more than an iPhone X.
Like,
And
it's just
they
a piece
just
of aluminum.
It's got like this
It looks like
counterbalance system, and it's this like for the new like it's like $4,000 monitor.
That's the base one.
Yeah. So
The fancy one's like $5,500.
it's disgusting for a 32-inch, like 4K.
Now I will say this: they are heavy.
Yeah.
So and they are ultra, like high end, like 6K, like ridiculous.
Yeah. So it's a counterbalance, so you can move the monitor around. I'm sure it's a very nice stand, but
Oh,
like
it's well thought out.
But like $1,000, and what the greatest part about it is in the video, like they just brush over it, like, and here's it, and this will run you $999, and then we're moving on.
Yes, that was the biggest issue
Yeah.
in my mind. Was not. It's not even because
whole audience.
they probably can justify the price tag based upon the materials it's made out of. Some other
Well, and
thing.
who's going to be buying it, right?
Right.
So it's
and
It's ultra high end.
it's all in the way they delivered it, because that like the product just before it was like $8.99.
It's just- No,
or $13.
$199
It was
$199
for the attachment. So here's my question:
Yeah.
Does the stand come with the attachment that's $199, or is it actually a 12?
But they did kind of
Or
just brush
$11.99.
over, and then they said like the stand for $9.99, and you can hear the crowd kind of go,
What?
What?
well. So okay. So the Reddit thread that I saw wasn't actually about the announcement. It was about that Apple had gone
Yes.
around afterwards and started copyright striking all
Redo.
of the videos that
Redo.
people had put up of the audience reactions. So I was expecting this crazy, like, people rioting, right? So I watched the mirror that someone had put up there, and it's like you can definitely hear like people
But it's not
laughing
a,
and
it's not a
murmurs.
gasp.
No,
Yeah,
no.
and it's not like
And he you can
It flustered the guy
It
announcing.
did. It totally flustered him.
You could tell that he saw the
He needed
acknowledgement.
to be better.
Well,
in
he
that
needed
situation.
to go, hey, I know that sounds expensive, but
Or
Yeah.
no reaction.
Or
at
no
all.
reaction.
no
Yeah,
reaction
or
at all.
just
Be professional.
Yeah, just keep going. But so the conversation then becomes: are more people talking about it because Apple went and tried to remove all these videos? Essentially,
it's the only
the
reason we
Streisand
know.
effect.
Yeah, the Streisand effect.
Yeah.
So
for
why
sure.
is it called that? Does it have to do with Babs?
Yes.
Barbs.
Yeah.
So
What?
the
Tell me-
backstory to the Streisand
I need to know.
effect.
I just need to know
is
the
that
name history.
Okay. So there was so two people were hired by the state of California to take either drone or aerial footage of the entire coastline of California. And then they were going to put that into some GIS
When?
software maybe like 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
I don't know how long
It might have been a little bit longer.
Maybe
but
10
it wasn't.
years
It
ago.
wasn't. Yeah.
So basically, the idea was to put the entire coastline into some sort of a GIS software, and then from those photos, they could track how much of the coastline is eroding and where and why. So
2003.
one of those photos showed Babs' Malibu mansion very front and center right on the coast, right? And it's a nice place. It's got multiple chimneys, like 4, I think.
You're Barbara Streisand. Yeah.
I mean,
you
fuck,
got
she's
5
rich. Of course
chimneys.
she's got a mansion,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well,
Barbara fucking Streisand.
You deserve it.
she decided to sue.
No, she's not okay with it.
She's not okay with it. She decided to sue to make them redact, basically,
Like
it
her
her portion.
Nope,
And
that's
she
just a
sued for
cliff.
a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Shit ton, like something like 50 million or something. Don't quote me on that, but
I'm looking at it at
so
Wikipedia. I'll find it.
so then
50 million. You were right.
So
Damn, you're good.
prior to her following the lawsuit, that photo had been downloaded 6 times, twice by her
legal
law
team.
firm.
Yeah.
Which was funny. The guy I saw explain this. There's a great YouTube video on this out there where he's like, I don't know why they needed to download it twice. Probably because they were just printing it. After the lawsuit was filed, it got downloaded 400,000 times.
Oh.
420. Let's get the facts right.
420,000
I'm
times.
so impressed you've gotten all these numbers right. That's you're like
He was into
Edipedia.
this when it happened. It seems
No,
like.
no, no.
Or
I just,
did you
know,
research it?
you just
I-
read the Wikipedia.
I
article.
actually look at the run sheets.
Contrary to popular belief.
Contrary to popular belief, I don't ignore everything.
Speaking of.
I'm just impressed that you have the retention of all that. And I'm also impressed. I'm going to throw a little love on Ed here. He can do 15
Wait, hold
bullets
on. That
in one shot. Bam.
the first one was kind of a backhanded compliment, though.
There's always backhanded compliments.
Yeah.
That's what AdSquawk's
That's
about.
I'm
love.
surprised because I think of you as an idiot, and actually you retained all those numbers in your
Right. Well,
Come on
we've
now.
proven to the audience
I
now
did not call
on back-to-back episodes all the ways in which Eddie cannot be trusted.
Listen,
So,
there's an ebb and a flow.
there is.
An Ed and a flow.
There's an ebb and a flow. 1 point for Danielle.
That was a little bit funny.
So
That was Danielle's dad joke of the day.
Yeah.
So getting back to the
Yeah.
Streisand effect,
Yeah.
and this is something that I run across a couple times a year. We'll have a client that is needing some sort of public relations consultation. Usually it's a bit of crisis communication, and most of the time, the advice that I am giving is don't say shit. Prepare, get your facts, make a plan on who's going to speak on behalf, work your relationships, determine what really happened, determine what the truth is, determine your part in the truth. But while you're doing all that, don't say shit. Don't say shit. I have a good friend who's a criminal defense attorney. Same thing goes if you ever get pulled over. You have no
Don't say anything.
obligation to say anything.
Like
You
when
give
they
them your
ask-
license, your registration, and then you don't say shit.
Do you know why I pulled you over today? No, I don't.
No, I don't.
I don't guess.
Right?
Was it
It's not doing anyone any favors.
Was it the arm hanging out of my trunk, sir? That's fake.
It's Halloween.
Don't look up. Yes. So the Streisand effect is real.
So do we think? So
basically, this happens all the time.
Yeah,
People get into trouble, and they try to, which is completely impossible in today's digital age. They try to make it go away by getting rid of the source.
It's a bit of a self-fulfilling
It's
prophecy.
and it's covering up. I mean, it's like history's going to show in 5 or 10 years that the idea of collusion and cover up are not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Cover up can happen even when there was no crime. But if you think there was a crime, or if you there's something else that is non-criminal, but you don't want people to know, the minute you start covering up,
People are writing stories.
you are
Brene
usually drawing attention to.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just replace the verb, the phrase cover up with draw attention to, then that's what's happening. Now, having said that, I think that there's some very good recent examples of the opposite side of that, where a company or a person gets into some deep shit, and rather than covering up and rather than doing the Streisand effect, they take their time, they figure out what the fuck they're going to say, and then they admit their crime and they say it. Right now, VW has a ad on the air, and it starts with a completely dark warehouse, and the radio. There's a radio playing, kind of that scratchy radio kind of.
I'll do the effect.
Yeah. VW has been sued by the Environmental Protection Agency for failing to disclose. VW has been found to have covered up. VW has lost something $1 billion. So they start their own ad with the headlines of all the shit they got in for faking their emissions. Then, and then the song Sounds of Silence begins to play, the actual Simon and Garfunkel version, which I so appreciate.
Pretty penny.
I so appreciate they use Simon and Garfunkel's version and not Disturbed's version, even though I love them both. This one was the right one to use. It's almost a bit cliche. It's on the borderline, but the end of the ad rescues itself. They show a designer in his dark sort of writer's bar with nothing but a lamp, and he's drawing pictures of cars and he's ripping them up and da-da-da. Meanwhile, hello darkness, smile. I won't sing any more of it than that, so we don't get copyright.
Nope, it's all good.
They paid for the copyright. We did not. And then the reveal is introducing VW's all-electric car. So basically, they're saying we fucked up. We skirted the law. Here's our electric car that uses no gasoline. The tacit message is forgive us, please. Mm-hmm. We're sorry, please forgive us. And here's our new product. We'd love for you to take a look. And I think that's just
our engineers couldn't find a way to screw up these emissions.
So I was wondering, I'd like to go around the room. Who would be the opposite? I want to name this effect. Who would be the opposite of Barbra Streisand?
Owning your shit?
Like owning your shit. The first one that came to my mind was, what's his name from Love Actually?
Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant. Remember when he got busted getting a BJ or something?
I don't remember that.
From a hooker?
He cheated? Or it was just...
He was like in his car. And he got like...
I mean, it's still cheating if it's in the car, but
Well, yeah, no, I mean... yeah, I assume it was cheating because he wasn't at home.
What if it's an all-electric car?
I don't think it was the fact that he was cheating. It was just that you're this super wealthy guy and you're
paying for
an
emissions test.
But I seem to remember him coming out an admissions test.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Jesus, Jody, that's good.
Thanks.
That's good. Fuck. An emissions test. Now you just need to keep. Okay, so you can't laugh at your own joke like that.
I
know.
Because
Yeah, it was funny, but you just gotta let it.
It's endearing.
I know he's so endearing.
Who owns their
So
shit?
I felt like he kind of owned that at the time, but I don't really remember.
I don't remember either.
it was
So
early
who-
2000s, right?
Yeah. Who could be the opposite of the Streisand effect?
Coin a phrase here.
Who really owned their own shit?
Who's had mistakes? A lot of people.
People or
especially-
companies?
Either.
Or it could be a company. We could.
I
Or we
think
could name
honestly,
it after.
I think the Joe Biden thing was. I like
The
how he
Biden-
handled. Yeah,
The
we're-
Biden effect.
well,
yeah, but when it takes you till you're 72 to do it, that's
well, but
a little.
but somebody called him
But
out,
he just got
Yeah.
outed for it.
and
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
he
it's fine.
addressed it and said, "Hey,
But that's not.
there may
That's
be-
waiting till you get called out for it. I think we're trying to say someone who's.
Well, but if you,
owning.
yeah, but don't you have to get called out?
I think you have to take politicians. We can't
Yeah,
name any
yeah.
of this after a politician.
No.
Politicians are too self-serving. I'm not saying that
Agreed.
Joe Biden didn't handle that well.
Agreed.
I think he did, and I think that he's stayed a front runner as a result. I think that a lot of people could have handled that in a way that, especially as a Democrat, that would have made them lose
there was
momentum.
lots of potential to screw that up.
Yeah.
This American Life just covered a story. One of the creators of Rick and Morty, essentially abused his position as he was like a head writer, and
Is
he
it
had
Dan Harmon?
I think so.
Because he's the creator.
Yeah.
He's the guy who did
Yeah,
a Community and.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
him.
Okay.
So this happened while he was working for Community. He was the lead writer on that. I don't know what the official title is, and he kind of fell in love with one of his junior staff writers and abused that position.
Right.
So I don't think he did the opposite of the Streisand effect, because it took him years before he said anything, and it took that junior writer to. He mentioned on Twitter, he's like, I talk about this on my podcast, and apparently she listened to it and she goes, that was a horseshit apology. That's not a real apology. Like, you're not really taking responsibility for
Right.
all the things
Right.
that you actually did to me in my career and affected my life in this way. And then he came out a few weeks later with like a real apology that she
Right.
listened to. And she publicly on Twitter, she's like, I accept that. It was nice to hear what you finally said about it.
Right.
But
Right.
it took some.
Well, and sometimes these
jousting.
things do take a little,
Yeah. Yeah.
practice.
It's hard.
I thought of another one, but it breaks my own rule I just made, which it can't be a politician. But Al Franken.
I don't even
Oh, yeah.
I
Yep.
mean, stepping down for what he did compared to other examples out there
Yep.
was definitely practicing what you preach, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
Anyway.
have good examples.
All right. Well, we can save that. Why don't we make this another opportunity for our listeners to
let us know.
win some killer
Amazing.
AdSquawk.
Stickers.
Stick.
No swag.
We have-
we're gonna get some swag.
Okay, we have stickers right now.
No, we've got AdSquawk swag.
AdSquawk
AdSquawk swag is coming.
That's not easy to say fast.
We are going to feather our own nests,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah. Louis C.K.'s apology was also pretty good when he got outed for masturbating in front of women without their permission.
I didn't like.
I think you're one of the few women who would say that. And
It was
given how yeah, I mean, you're a pretty strong feminist. I'm surprised that you felt it was. I
It
would have
was
thought
better.
you had the out.
It was better than any of the other people's.
I thought it was good,
apologies.
too,
It was better than
but
anyone else's.
I didn't feel it was received
I
well.
didn't think it was
It
received
wasn't
well
received
at
well.
all.
Yeah.
But also now he's coming back and doing spots and stuff, which is fine. But he's
Right.
like not addressing it
Right.
at all again. So that's kind
Well,
of
that
the
goes
thing.
back to the how long do you have to apologize for the same thing?
Right.
Well, it's like I would expect him to work it into his material somehow.
So there was, and this I saw this on Joe. There were like when he first started doing comedy again and was doing like small clubs and was doing new material. People came out and were like, his new bit's garbage. It does like all of these things, and it's like, yeah, because he's practicing
He's
new.
work-
Like all comedians
That's the
do
point of
this. They
this.
go to these small clubs, especially when they've been taking a break to
Work
like work through
material.
this material. And he
They work
definitely
them
got
muscles
a
out.
little.
Yeah. I totally believe in the idea, and I've experienced it much in my own life, that it's hard to get the first apology exactly right. Especially when you're apologizing in person. Not so much if you're apologizing in person and you have time to have a conversation. Because what you'll do when you're apologizing in person is you'll say what you have to say. They'll react to that, and they'll maybe express some negativity about how you said what you had to say, and then you'll say, "Oh,
makes you defensive.
well, I didn't understand that." Okay, so let me rephrase that. what I really mean to say is this, and then over maybe a period of hours, days, weeks of conversing with that person in person, maybe forgiveness will happen and the apology will happen. When you're doing a public apology, it's really hard
To nail it.
But at my ultimate advice to people is don't ever apologize for having made a person feel a certain way. In other words, I'm sorry I made you feel that
sad.
way.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of saying, I'm sorry that you had feelings that weren't
It's like,
right.
apologize for your actions.
I'm apologize I said that, and I'm apologizing that it hurt you, not that it made you feel that way, or that I angered you, or that I and this is only because I have to apologize a shit ton. I honestly do, because I have kind of diarrhea of the mouth.
I was saying that as not that you do, and as someone
She's
who
like,
all no,
Yep.
I was
Yeah, you
I
saying
think
that-
our audience heard that.
I was saying that as someone who also has diarrhea
Yeah.
of the mouth.
So
We have a different word.
in person, it's easy to eventually get an apology right, but when you're doing a public apology or a written apology, oftentimes that's the problem with the written word, is that it's open to interpretation, it's open to nuance, it's open. Why I'm constantly telling my kids, if you really need to talk to your friend about something, don't text them, don't email them, talk to them face to face, or at least on the phone, right?
Nobody calls anyone anymore.
Can't convey tone via text. I have one.
I know that bugs the shit out of me too.
Yeah. I have one other thing on the Streisand effect. Do you guys think, I don't think this is an exact matchup, but the Kim Kardashian Jack in the Box podcast just released today. Do you think Kim Kardashian alluding to what she alluded to, whatever Jack in the Box situation was,
yeah.
that called more attention to it? It's not, she wasn't trying to take information away, but she withheld it. So what, is there a name for that sort of situation?
I think
Well, that's just being a Riddler.
right. I think it was by saying I'm not putting you on blast, but actually putting them on blast.
Right.
no details.
Well, I think
I
she
didn't
said
say
I'm not putting you
anything.
on full blast, right?
yeah,
fully on blast,
fully
yeah.
on
Fully
blast.
on blast, which I kind of give her credit for the nuance of that, because
putting
it
them-
wasn't fully on blast.
No.
Fully on blast would say, I heard one of your workers say the N-word.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
every one of you should shut every one of your places down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody who's of African American descent
Should go to your
or cares about racial, equity
Yeah.
should ever visit Jack in the Box
shit, a
again.
big one. That's a 2-goal.
That's a
parlay,
finish
ladies
your
and
journey.
gentlemen.
Phone call. Hold on. Before
Wait, we're
I
gonna
don't
get
want to get
yeah,
copyright.
there
I
you
was
go.
gonna say like,
Oh, edit definitely. has
Yes,
to
and that
finish.
is that I think that's that my car is ready. I'm so
Oh.
excited. I've been without a car for a week.
What should you do to your car?
Totaled it.
It got hit in the garage
Again?
twice.
again?
No, twice. And then I backed into somebody, and the third time was a charm. I'm like, I'm getting my bumper fixed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Backed into like a big giant truck or something.
Likely, yes.
I backed into it didn't even hardly do any damage to the other guy.
I yelled at somebody in our parking garage the other day.
When? What happened?
It
I
was
love
like
this.
Last week, so I'm
Where
going.
was I?
Sorry, our parking garage. As you
It
come down
sucks.
or up
Full
it.
of idiots.
Yeah.
It's full of idiots. So this guy, I'm going down the ramp as I'm leaving, and there's people walking, and they're not walking right next to they're walking out enough where I'm like, well, I don't want to be like
yeah,
right
you got to
next
go
to
around.
them.
Yeah, you don't want to hit him with your side view
Yeah.
mirror.
So I go
Pedestrians really
around them
peeky
as
in
I'm
there.
getting to the bottom, and this dude comes flying around the corner and has to get on his brakes pretty hard. And I'm in the way. I'm in the middle of
Yeah.
the deal. And I'm waiting for these people, and he is mean mugging me. So I roll down the window and I go,
Hey.
"What's the problem?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "You're in the middle of the goddamn road." And I'm like,
They're-
"It's actually a parking garage, and I'm trying not to hit these people. You need to learn how to drive." I'm like, "I'm driving around these people." He goes, "Well, maybe you should wait." And I go, "Well, maybe you should wait." And then
The
he drove
jerk
off.
store called.
Yeah.
the jerk store car. All out of you.
Why did I not think of that? You're just a big dumb jerk.
I hate that. That law.
You think of all the great things to say like 30 seconds later. Oh, I should have said.
Oh, absolutely. But also,
Have you guys heard my?
You know what my line is when I get in road rage with people, or when they're road raging on me? I'll often do a complete sarcastic look and say, "I am so sorry that I have been a bad part of your day. I hope that this is the worst thing that happens to you today."
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Because if it is,
Kill him with
consider-
kindness.
Consider yourself lucky, because
I like that.
It's easy to worry about the parking garage when you don't have to worry about malaria or where you're getting your next meal.
The funny part.
Fuck nut.
The funny part of the whole story is that my son was on the Bluetooth phone the entire time I'm yelling at this guy. And I had kind of forgotten. And so as I drive off 3-4 seconds
Your son's
later,
like, Dad,
Logan's like,
I love you so much.
Dad,
You
what
rock."
was that? And I'm like, oh, hey, bud.
Hey, you know what?
Whoops.
I bet you that as an adult, he'll remember that. And I bet if I'm guessing, Logan's thought was, fuck yeah, my dad's a man. And I like that. I mean, I think that there are times when your kids need to see you.
Yeah, stand up.
They need to see you stand up, but they also need to see your flaws. I mean, they need to see you lose your temper. They need to see you slip on your ass and fall. They need to see these things about your humanity, because then they'll appreciate even more how much you love them and all the ways in which you share your humanity with
What do you
them.
guys think if he were in the car with Jody? Not do it in that case?
If the kids were?
If they
the
were
kid was
in
in the
the
car?
Oh,
physi-
No,
still?
go for it.
But what
I'd
if
be
it
okay. I'd be
elevates?
okay.
Unless there was a
We're
unless
in
there was
a state that
unless
there's
it was
high
a dangerous situation.
It could get
Yeah.
dangerous.
Well, it could. I mean, if the guy looked like the guy that might be packing, yeah, you don't want to get
You
your
can't
kid shot over.
You can't
Yeah.
tell
How do
that
you
in
know?
the state.
But this guy, I mean, you got to assess that risk in the moment. But I don't think it's a hard no, is what I would say.
In
fact,
it can escalate quickly, but I think it's okay to be like, dude, we're in a parking garage.
Yeah.
Chill out. Now, if he gets out and wants to throw punches, I'm going to roll up my window and be like, no.
Right.
You can hit my truck and break my window, and I'm going to drive away. I'm not getting out of my car to beat you up over a parking thing
Yeah.
or get beat up by you over a parking thing.
Yeah.
All right.
What are we doing?
We're going to watch this.
Okay.
Okay, don't.
Wait.
Okay, good. It's okay. There's no tag.
How far would you go for your company? It's a question I ask myself every day. After falling in love with Aviation Gin, I didn't just buy another bottle. I bought the whole company. When Aviation became the fastest growing gin in the world, I started working even harder. That's why, when Aviation recently suggested making a signature bottle, I committed to blowing every single bottle personally. And then engraving them by hand. Because can you ever really go too far for your company? I just don't think it's possible. The Ryan Reynolds signature bottle.
He gets it.
Do you know who that is?
I'll have an Aviation Gin.
Aviation. How far would you go?
The guy who says he gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is. Go back.
You can't fast forward. Oh, yeah. Do you recognize him?
I don't.
Think episode 1, Firefest.
Fucking
Oh my God!
He committed to blowing everyone.
I love it. Oh my God. Okay, so here's the thing.
And this is why we wanted a cold reaction.
Oh my God. That's the exact reason why you don't over-explain the joke.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
It is so much more funny to me now
Yeah.
having you guys go, who is that? And you're like,
Who is it?
oh my God.
That's Andy King. He's the
Andy
guy
Keith.
from Firefest that was asked to give
Oh
the customs
my
God.
God.
A blowjob and
I
was gonna fucking do it.
And I was noticing that when you were showing that, was that in a Twitter feed or a Instagram
so.
feed?
Yeah.
And
Ryan
somebody,
Reynolds
the last
posted it.
comment was, I'm
waiting for the punchline.
I'm waiting for the punchline. And that's the whole idea, that the fact that person is waiting for the punchline doesn't get it. It's like at some point, someone in one of his
video.
friends is going to explain that to him,
Mm-hmm.
and the joke becomes so much more funny.
Yeah.
There was a
Brilliant.
I wouldn't say a famous comedian, but a popular comedian in the late 80s, early 90s, and I think he got his start on the Letterman show, the original Letterman. But he used to do these. He used to call these certain jokes joke grenades, and it's like, I do a lot of joke grenades, and he would tell a joke, and he'd just be quiet.
Let it sink in.
And then in about 4 seconds, the audience would like, and he's like joke grenade. It was just he had this particular ability to say something that you kind of had to sort out in your mind
Needs to cook for a second
before you realized it was funny. And joke grenades are the best in advertising.
That was good. So
Nope.
I want to talk about how that was good. Love Ryan Reynolds. He's funny. But also, and I forgot to bring it, have you tried Aviation Gin?
I don't think I've had it.
Clark and I
Because
think
I'm not a gin drinker.
we think it's hot garbage.
Yeah.
So we have a bottle that, so Ryan
Well,
Reynolds.
gin is such a,
But-
I mean...
Clark and his whole family, they like a good gin and tonic. Like, it's one of their favorite
That's the
family
only
drinks.
way I'll drink gin.
But my point is this, is that the variety between... Is that a drinking? That
Yeah.
We have to drink to
It's
that.
a
don't we?
calendar.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's your phone and it's on and it's making noise. We drink.
Gin is one of those where you can have two gin drinkers
Mm-hmm.
who like completely different types and styles of gin,
But
right? You know what
everyone
I mean?
we've had try it also doesn't like.
Right.
So I need to bring it in for the next episode.
I'm not a
This is another
gin drinker.
quality
I wouldn't
thing.
know.
You know, like a Tanqueray
That was
is
another
like
one.
super gin.
Yeah.
Juniper.
Compared to like a Hendrix, which is like gin light.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a Coors Light versus an IPA or something.
Yeah, that's very
Different.
But either way.
I mean, they're both
need you-
beer.
I need you guys to try it.
I absolutely loved that commercial.
Yeah, it's a great commercial. Do you guys think so? Ryan Reynolds, I think, is smart and funny.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he concepted that, or do you think he just has good people on his team?
He had to have had something to do with it. I mean, that's his voice. You know what I mean?
He may have been in.
Like-
he may have been in the writers'
Do you-
part a little bit.
Do you think he
Yeah.
watched the Firefest doc and was like, "I know what I'm gonna fucking do with this guy"?
No, well, I would. That to me feels like somebody at an agency who listened to AdSquawk.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Ipso facto.
You're welcome.
Okay, we did the ad.
Whatever.
No,
We
really didn't do the
love
ad.
when he's
I wouldn't be talking shit publicly about
All
aviation
teared
if
up.
we did that.
it's like,
Yeah, no kidding.
Reverse Streisand.
In case you're wondering whether we're lying or whether you're sorting out the lies being told.
Yeah.
Danielle just said the ultimate truth.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have talked shit
Well,
about
there's another
Aviation
one.
Gym if they were a client.
Jody, I didn't notice the tear. That was a detail that
I loved it. That was the best part.
went
Oh my
over my
God,
head.
yes.
Yeah.
No, I just as
So
soon as
good.
I saw him, I freaked out and just like blowing glass. That's such a good like
I committed to blow
every
one.
bottle.
Like
Probably.
the subtlety in the writing of
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is so good. And it is one of those grenades where it's like waves of funny where you're like, oh man, oh now that's even better. Oh now that's even better than I thought it was.
Exactly. Because
Awesome.
it's a cool spot. Like
Dude, the
before
cinematography is amazing.
Before the Andy King reveal, it's still a cool, funny spot. Like him exaggerating his role in the company. Like, yes, he is the owner, but obviously he's not blowing glass and he's not etching things by hand. That's funny.
Right.
But next level, Andy King.
It was next level with Andy King.
Exactly.
So when
And-
you came in to my office the other day and you're like, what are you hooting and hollering over?
it was
That's
that.
what you were
That's
hooting
what
at?
I was, yes.
Thank you so much, because when you showed me the Mr. T ad, I'm like, that's funny, but
Okay, can we talk about
it
this?
is not hoot and
Mr. T.
holler.
So,
It is not hoot and holler worthy. And I
No,
was just
this-
thank you for telling me that. I was so disappointed in
That
you.
was-
I was
quick
really,
thinking.
I was really
I was like,
disappointed in you. Could you tell? Could you tell that I was disappointed?
Yeah, you were like, yeah, that's,
I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
Mr.
was
T.
almost like faking my Mr. I was like, yeah, really? That's what we were rooting on?
so Jody sends me these ads, the Mr. T ads.
Mr. T
And I
sneakers. Everyone.
I have to walk into his office. I'm like, hey, dude, did you look at the date on that?
and I was like, nope.
right.
when were
And I
they
was
from?
like, this was posted in 2008.
Right.
2008.
Right.
So
I
we're
was
not
like-
talking about it,
Oh. I should have
at
looked at
least
the
in
date.
that context.
Right.
Like,
It was pretty funny,
I
though.
got a good laugh out of that.
I thought they were pretty funny.
They were funny.
No,
They're
they
fine.
were.
But I
They're
don't-
funny.
I don't think that
Cool.
they would fly.
But they weren't what I was hearing him hooting and hollering about. I
yeah.
was like,
No,
That's- no.
no.
that's the truth in my hooting
So
and
we
hollering.
wanted you to get the cold exposure to this, so that's why.
Sorry to mislead you.
so I have a confession to make. I had already watched
sure.
the ad when you told me not to. Only because I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I'm in RFP mode and
Yeah,
I'm trying to get
yeah.
shit knocked out. And
That's good. You're
da-da-da-da.
checking boxes. It's good.
But you didn't get that
did
shit
not-
knocked out
I did-
and read me
I
saying
did not
don't
get
do
the
that.
joke. Well, I had already, and so I'd already gone to the run sheet. You didn't post. Don't
I put
don't
it
look
in
at
the
it.
comments of your Asana task, my
But
guy.
not right away.
My
the,
guy?
The,
Like-
he had already posted the run sheet
yeah.
before you
everyone's a
told me not to
follower
read
on
it. So the minute
He's a
he
follower on
posted
that.
it,
Everyone's a follower on
Okay,
that
that
task.
makes
so the
sense.
minute he
Yeah.
posted it, I looked at the run sheet.
Okay.
So then I'd already watched the
Well, that
ad.
makes me happy.
But then I didn't tell you I watched the ad because I didn't want to spoil
Beautiful.
it.
You lied to my face.
But-
I asked you if you didn't. You said no.
I did. Like that's why I'm coming clean
He was
right
protecting
now.
your heart.
But here's the thing.
It's the
I
Ed Moore
did
effect.
not.
You didn't put it together.
I did not put
The Moore
together
effect.
who that
the
was.
Moore
Dang it.
effect.
The more
So
effect.
Come on, you guys.
Owning your
Still
shit.
just as funny.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe we should call it the more effect. Owning your shit.
Yeah, you could have. That's a lie you could have held on to forever.
It's a white
No,
lie.
I
little white
don't
lie.
know. It was a white lie, but
This is AdSquawk, damn it. AdSquawk is family. Squawk.
that was second level funny
Your reaction
for
was
sure.
priceless.
Second, third level funny. Actually, it was kind of third level funny because he kind of slow rolled into the whole. I didn't just like the vodka; I bought the company,
It's gin.
which you could actually see a copywriter writing that shit.
Yeah.
Did I say vodka?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I didn't just like the gin.
It's a whiskey
Sorry.
drink. It's a vodka
Yeah, I bought the
drink.
company.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's actually something. I mean, that's been done in a serious way.
Yeah.
And so then
I'm gonna run
the
out
glass
of drink.
blowing
I'm
and
out.
hand etching every bottle is clearly like, okay, yeah, we're fucking making a joke here.
Mm-hmm.
And then Andy King, is that his name? Andy King.
I call him
Or
Keith.
Keith for short.
I call
but-
him
Keith.
He looks like a Keith
I
to
loved
me.
his voice.
I want to
Ryan Reynolds. Or
no,
Andy's.
Andy's. I was like, what?
I want to meet Andy King. I want to put him in an
He
ad
looks
or
like
something.
the cousin to the most interesting man in the world.
He actually looks a lot
is.
like he
He's a
could be
cousin.
related to Steve Martin.
Yes.
Me.
You're welcome, universe.
Well,
for
you know what they
AdSquawk
say,
throwing that
a
into
good
the universe.
voice. What's it?
Ryan Reynolds.
No,
Andy King.
Freddie
No.
Mercury
Oh.
claimed that he had a good voice because he
more
had
teeth.
extra teeth, and so he had a bigger mouth that led to
More volume.
more of a voice.
It's more resonance, baby.
The acoustics
So
of the
maybe
mouth.
Andy's just got a good voice because of his mouth
And his mouth
muscles.
helps with other things.
Yes.
He's got a great mouth.
What
I was trying to get to a joke there, but
I
I
know.
never really got there.
It's all right.
the implication.
I'm
concept-
pretty sure Sean's
Because
quit
of the
ad squawking and started
He's working.
officially
Concept
working.
I'm
Actually
working
working.
because
Okay.
doing?
we've got. I'm swapping out traffic and
Ah,
because there's a
Listen.
lot.
and everyone's
Listen.
gone.
We're in pitch mode, people.
And nothing works. Everything that's supposed to work doesn't work. Everything's breaking. Everyone complains about things breaking.
let's find the bright side of things.
Wow.
I got to make
I'm
3
multitasking.
revisions.
I'm not checked out. I'm just multitasking. And it's
Okay.
done, by the way. So
all right.
I think our show's pretty much
client priorities
done too,
Uh,
right?
No, it
Do we
is.
have anything
It
else to
is.
cover?
I think we're good. That was
All
a.
I think, yeah. I think that was
Shout out to Ryan Reynolds and
Yeah.
Aviator Gin.
Aviation.
Look, Ryan, if you
Aviation
want-
Gin, sorry.
Ryan.
Ryan, I'm sorry. Was it Ryan Reynolds though? Did I get the
Yes,
right
it was.
Ryan?
Yes, you
okay.
did.
It wasn't
'Cause
Ryan
I'd hate
Gosling
to give
and
Ryan Gosling
Aviation
credit for
vodka.
for Ryan Reynolds. Although
Ryan Gosling
although
should.
that ad would have been even better with Ryan Gosling for some reason.
Why?
I don't know. I just feel like his like seriousness.
I was gonna say because it wouldn't be
Comes across
expected.
more?
It's expected.
Oh,
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
the juxtaposition of Ryan Gosling, Mr. Serious. I mean, like Ryan Reynolds just is kind of a fuck nut in a
Yeah.
good way.
Right,
I
he's
mean,
Deadpool.
That's
Like,
like
yeah.
he's Deadpool.
No one else
and
could
that's
be
sort of
Deadpool like
his,
he's Deadpool.
Yeah. So I hope those two guys are actually buddies. That would be so cool if they
Andy
like
King
play,
and Ryan Reynolds?
No, Ryan Reynolds and Ryan Gosling. If they like
go out on the
play
town
pickup
together.
ball together occasionally or something. I don't know. Play cards every now and then. Belong to the same golf
Let's play
club. I
some
don't know.
Battleship,
I
bro.
think that'd be cool.
That would be cool.
I'm kind of a romantic that way.
You
What if all three of them were friends with Andy King?
I was like, did
Who
you
would-
just ship Ryan Reynolds
Yeah.
and Ryan Gosling?
Who's the third?
I know. I don't know.
Andy King is the
Andy
third?
King.
Oh.
Yeah.
that'd be-
Who's
that'd be
your,
a
that'd be-
wild trio.
Yeah, I know. I think Andy King would enjoy it.
I think
All
so
right.
too.
All right. On that note,
On that note, don't forget to tweet us.
yeah, please do send us whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
who you
at this
think-
point,
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds.
Who should
Actually,
be
if
the
Ryan,
third?
if you would like to please come on the podcast, we would love to have you.
Yeah. That'd be great.
What a
I
long
did
shot.
shout out to I Am Mark Manson today
Oh yeah. Yep.
via tweet and asked him to come on Ad Podcast. Ad podcast?
Podcast.
AdSquawk podcast?
It's not a Friday, but it's a Friday.
It's a Friday. It's a Friday for
That'd be
Eddie.
worse.
Yep.
So I got to stay sober tomorrow.
Exactly.
Oh.
I know.
Pitch
That's
mode.
and the pitch isn't until
until
4 o'clock local time
What?
You'll be fine.
on a Friday.
Why did they schedule
Well, you know
that?
what's going to happen then is that I'm going to double up to catch up after the pit. Oh, God, you guys are in such... Poor Sean.
Oh, it's gonna be a good
Yeah,
time.
you're
Sean
going to be with him.
Sean might be helping me use my hotel room key at the end of the night.
You guys are going to have fun.
How does this thing work, Sean?
I did learn a
There's no
valuable
slot.
life lesson.
No, you just
from
have to hold it up.
You hover it.
I was going to tell you, I learned a valuable life lesson from you, and
Oh.
when
I've
was
got
on
a
my-
lot of old man hacks.
When I was on my trip in New Orleans, I took a picture of
your
my room door.
Always take a picture
so
of your
I
room
knew
dorm
what
number.
my room number was.
That's genius.
Always take a picture of your room number.
No, it was brilliant. It was used.
So you
So-
do it the front camera or do you selfie it?
I did the front camera, but
just
I
curious.
will do it in selfie.
Selfie mode might be kind of cool.
It might be. Though I would like portrait mode, and then the back's blurred out, and then you can't see.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
actual room
those of
number
you
is.
with the
I
fancy
mean,
cameras.
yeah, you don't have to use
And if you
portrait
get
mode.
two, and if you
If
get,
I'm taking a selfie,
if you're
I
in New
use portrait
Orleans
mode.
and
Oh
you're,
my God, no.
I just don't have that phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
It's
if you're
so
fucked up in New
fancy.
Orleans and all you see is this floating number and a bunch of black space, that could actually send you to a place you don't want to. Yeah.
Right.
What's 1545 mean in my life? It keeps showing up in my photos. It's just 1545 floating in black.
That's the last we ever saw of Sean.
And it's,
Yes.
I never came back from New Orleans.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining us on this episode of AdSquawk. Be sure to follow us at AdSquawkPod on the socials. Oh, we cracked 100 listens,
Oh,
by
yeah.
the way, on episode 3, not episode 1.
Not one.
Episode 3 overtook it. So it
Was 3 the
Back with a Vengeance.
editing one?
unaltered. Yes.
Unaltered.
Yes. So
Right.
What
By,
was-
and by the way, just
yes. So
putting it
congrats.
out there now early in our thing that we've actually determined via some very good research that there are 10 people listening every time someone listens. So all of our stats actually can be multiplied by 10.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
People are listening in groups.
What
Yeah.
episode
Yeah.
is that?
Yeah.
We are the most listened to the most listened to podcast by large groups of people.
It's
I mean-
readership versus distribution.
Exactly.
So
Small print.
We'll talk about this off
That
air,
was a
I guess.
media joke.
No,
No,
that was a
I-
media joke.
I get it,
so.
but it's like I thought. Is there any truth to any of things
No.
that you just
No.
And that's
no.
the joke.
That's the joke is that this is what media are telling you all the time is that
There's
Oh, yeah.
17 people in the room every time your ad
Yeah,
plays.
4
Yeah.
people in each car.
These
Yeah.
numbers
Right.
don't truly reflect the listenership
the
in
total
the real
number
world.
of impressions you're getting.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, if you enjoyed the show, leave us 5 stars. We know you do. So anyway, join the flock.
Oh yeah, Squaw. Also, instead of like saying nice things to Ed's email, do it on the iTunes review, probably.
Well,
Or like,
yeah,
or
it's okay.
Or,
hey,
or
not-
into
Brian,
our
you can
social.
Well, hold
cover-
on a
yeah,
second.
Yeah, he tweeted
Yeah,
too.
he did. He
did
so-
tweet it.
Brian, we're calling
Brian
you out.
tweeted.
Did you give us a 5-star review?
Yes, that's what we want to know, Brian.
Yeah. So you can tweet us the answer.
And even if it's a 4-star review,
We'll take it.
Hold on.
Hey.
Hold on.
Hold
All
the
I
line,
ask
damn
for
it.
is honesty.
No,
Be honest.
No,
advertising.
Be honest
Come
in the
on.
email to Ed.
I hope
It's okay to be
listeners
honest.
start-
We're getting 4 stars because we were
Feel my
falsely
eye roll.
reporting that Lee Cloud's Beard was a real
Right.
Twitter account.
Exactly.
So, no, okay.
I mean, that counts.
Truth.
Count.
Squaw.
All right. Squaw.
Squaw. Bye.
Squaw.